Welcome back, folks, to the WP-Tonic show. It's episode 575. I'll be really looking forward to this interview. We've got Ahmed Chaion with us. He's part of the WEDEVS plugin company. I'm a big, as you know, listeners and viewers, I'm a big Animator user, and they do an add-on called Happy Addons. They do about 4 or 5 great WordPress plugins, and it's going to be a great discussion. So, Ahmed, can you quickly give us a 20-second intro about yourself and WEDEVS?
Absolutely. Sure. My name is Ahmed Chaion, and I work as a business development manager here at WEDEVS. In the WordPress ecosystem, I'm also the official team representative for the global design team. And WEDEVS is basically a company that develops plugins and SaaS products. At the moment, a few of the plugins that Jonathan mentioned are spot on. They would be Dokan, WP-ERP, Happy Addons, and WeMail. We'll discuss all of them in a brief later on. Thank you.
That's great. And be great if I remember to say it's WEDEVS, not WebDevs. That'd be great. I've got Stephen as well. Stephen, would you like to quickly introduce yourself to the new listeners and viewers?
Yeah, my name is Stephen Sauter. I'm from zipfish.io, where we make WordPress fast by optimizing servers and the code that runs on them.
That's great. And before we go into the main part of the discussion, I just want to mention one of our great major sponsor. That's Kinsta Hosting. Kinsta Hosting is only a WordPress hosting provider. If you've got a customer website or a website yourself that needs real performance, like if you've got a WooCommerce website, a learning management system, a large membership site, you need really good hosting and powerful hosting. And that's what you get with Kinsta. They use Google Cloud plus a great user interface, great support, all the bells and whistles that you are looking for yourself or for your clients. I can't hardly praise them more. They've been hosting the WP-Tonic site for a number of years. I've been delighted with their service. So I suggest that you go over, look at one of their plans, buy it for yourself or for your clients. And if you do that, and I strongly advise you that you should do that, please tell them that you heard about them on the WP-Tonic website. It helps Kinsta and it really does support the show. So let's get into it. So can you give us a quick rundown the history of WEDEVS? How long has it been running? How many people work for it? And what are the specialities that WEDEVS specialize in?
Absolutely. WEDEVS started back in 2008, 2010, 2000 era, around that mark at 2010 as just a blog. It was run by 2 friends who were computer science students in the universities, and it was their hobby to disrupt the traditional way of learning about IT and the system. So these 2 friends came to the big city. They used to be outside of Dhaka in Bangladesh, absolutely. So they thought sharing knowledge with other people, like-minded people in the community, would help benefit not only themselves, but also the people in general. So they started that blog, and that blog was very popular. And in a few years down the line, they decided, okay, we could come up with something better. That actually is where WEDEVS began in 2013, 14-ish. And the company was very small in the beginning. They started with this plugin based on WooCommerce, which we know as Dokan, which is an online multi-vendor marketplace. And currently it's powering 60,000 individual marketplaces. And each of the marketplaces, as you know, can have from 100 to 100,000 different stores, online shops, whichever way we say it. It's actually helping small, medium businesses all over the globe, helping them powering with their own business and making money at the same time. So this is a very popular plugin in the WordPress ecosystem. That's basically led the foundation of WEDEVS from what we are today. Currently, there are about 100 almost 100 employees. Right before the pandemic, we had about 40 to 45. So the pandemic itself has been a blessing for the business in disguise, for what I have experienced, because I joined the company right before 2020. So I noticed that as we moved across the quarantine days, the businesses which were struggling, they needed their online presence, which is where Dokan came in. And the cool thing about Dokan, as we all know, WordPress.org gives you plugins that you can use for free. So those were actually key takeaways for people who were looking for online shops, setting up WooCommerce marketplaces. And Dokan lets you do that by just one click. If you have a WordPress site, you just activate the plugin, one click, few details, you are up and running with your stores. It's a small store and you have limited features, absolutely. But that's how a lot of our customers are using the product.
Oh, that's great. Over to you, Stephen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Todd, I'd love to hear a little bit more about the Elementor plugin that you guys have been working on, especially like what it's like to build a plugin for Elementor and for another page builder, and just how that's been built out and developed.
Right. So we have about 17 different plugins that we work on a daily basis, but among them, 5 or 6 are very popular ones. The Happy Elementor add-ons, or in short, we say Happy add-ons, is one of those popular ones. We reached 100,000 active installs just a few weeks ago, and that plugin is built of Elementor. And the cool thing about that is, like, the team that works specifically for the plugin, they always try to find something that the community is looking for, which is premium. And what the team does is, and again, we all know that having more installs, having more people using it gives us more ways to revenue with paid customers and whatnot. Because once the user has confidence on the plugin, it's easier for them to go from the activation, acquisition, those funnels. So they are always releasing free templates, and we call them Happy Design. So Happy Design templates is like, with every release, there's like about 10 to 15 new templates, which you would usually find as premium. So you would have to pay. So the users who are they're designing their websites, empowering it with happy add-ons, actually get something for free of value with every release, which is actually helping grow the plugin a lot.
That's really cool. How is it like managing all of these plugins, and then with the updates? Like Elementor has had some issues, like right when they upgraded to 3.0, and every plugin that was on Elementor had a hard time like adapting to that because there's so much code change that had to happen. It was kind of this whole like trickle down effect. What was your guys' experience with your plugin and like the 3.0 update?
Oh, I mean, there are different stories that we share at the office. You are absolutely right with that. I can tell you a few. Right before Christmas, around November, our team was going through a big release, and there was a big obstacle. We faced some kind of a roadblock, and the team had to get together even during the weekends. There weren't any weekends anymore. Wow. Because we had a release schedule that was right around November, late November. Everyone's gearing up for the Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals. And suddenly Elementor had one of their releases previously, which caused us to go through with these roadblocks. And the cool thing about the Happy Elementor add-ons team is that we have few people who are actually dedicated developers. We have few people who are designers, and we have someone who's preparing the mock-ups, the wireframes, and all of those stuffs architecture-wise, which isn't much, but still the person is making sure whenever there's a new update, what kind of impact it's putting on the current product, to the current version, technically speaking, which might sound a lot for a lot of listeners today, but I just want to keep it simple. So what they have done so far is that they are making sure that before the release is pushed through, we do enough testing, we do a lot of different testing, and we try to see what the other Elementor-based plugins are doing, and we try to learn from that in a good way. So the team has faced a lot of roadblocks, but they have been able to manage it. Let me tell you a little bit more. WEDEVS actually acquired this plugin around 2019. Happy Addons was actually a different company. So since we acquired it, we did not just break the team. It's still run by the original team. So with the acquisition, they employed the existing employees, but they added our expertise into the mix. That has been the success. But the person who deserves a lot of credit is someone named Govinda. He is the marketing coordinator, even though his job restricts him to do marketing stuff, strategies, sales, distribution, but he is involved in the development directly, even though he is a hardcore programmer. So what I'm really trying to say, it's a team which is unique in the way they work, which has a lot of experience, which has the people who originally developed the plugin, and with WEDEVS experience of building plugin with different types of plugin from different platforms, helping Elementor team succeed with whatever obstacle that's coming through. And we're anticipating something similar of what Steven mentioned about perhaps the next few updates from Elementor. So yeah.
Well, let's hope they're a bit better launched. One of the things I love about Happy Addons, and I wanted to see if it is that the free version is really fantastic. You know, it's not crippled like some other plugins. You know, the amount of functionality you get with the free plugin is quite amazing, and then there's real value in buying the pro version. But that must take a lot of, you know, did that take a lot of internal discussion? What's going to be in the free version, and how do we make it sensible for people to buy the pro version without feeling that the free version is crippled? Does that take a lot of internal discussion and work?
Yes, Jonathan. I can refer to the time when we were actually fixing the prices at launch, and they had to, I mean, there were more discussion on the pricing than there were technical obstacles that we faced. So we had to pinpoint a price point which wasn't much, I mean, more premium like, but it was convenient, but we didn't want to feel as cheap as they come. So that was the thing. So the discussion that they take is more like towards what features we'll keep giving for free to the customers, what features we will restrict for only paid customers, and how are we going to strategize them. That is the discussion that takes place on a daily basis each week with the Happy Elementor Addons team at WEDEVS. But then again, I have to give shout out to Govinda. I wish he was here. He has his own YouTube channel and all of those stuff. He does talk about, he's a big Elementor fan. I'm sure you two are. I'm as well, but I'm not much into designing websites these days. But still, I mean, Jonathan, you are definitely right on the point that you are making. There are more discussions, because once you actually announce something that you're going to be giving away for free, it needs to keep the promise. And that's how you build customer trust. That's how you build confidence. That's how you build reputation as a provider, as a you know, like organization, all of those things. So the team is doing very well. They are making sure decisions are being taken on a team's win-win perspective, so that the customers can also win.
So how do you, because like I say, I think you've really dealt well with what's in the free version of Happy Addons and what's in the paid. And I see a lot of other companies not handle that very well. But on the other hand, it's not easy. But what about the support side? How do you deal with the support for such a large free plugin without it basically bankrupting the company? You know, how do you deal with that issue?
Oh, that's a whole different can of worms. But I need to be, I mean, let's just be realistic about it. Managing different plugins for a same company that is built of the WordPress ecosystem is a lot of work. You need more work to support the customers, to meet their queries, to answer to all the tickets that we get on a daily basis. Then you do lines of coding, and that's true. I'm sure you guys can agree with me on that point. So we have a diverse team of support engineers led by one of my colleagues. His name is Nazmul, and he started off as a support executive. He slowly, gradually he went up the ranks, and he's now leading the team. About 24 engineers work in 3 different shifts. So they all have 8-hour work window. Some of them come to the work, some of them are always working remotely. So for Happy Elementor add-ons, we have dedicated support engineers who are making sure that all of these requests, all of these support tickets are being dealt in a timely manner. The key to success for Happy Elementor add-ons is that they manage on a particular subscription level. So if you are a paid customer, and it comes with the subscription that you pay. So if you are a paid customer, you will definitely get support firsthand. If you are not a paid customer, you would get support, but not in a proprietary basis, if that makes sense. So the supports they're coming, and they're in the ticket, as we use Help Scout all the time. We have a ticketing system of our own. So those are being dealt in a proper manner as we speak. So the team is making sure that we don't have many people waiting for support.
You're giving a good picture of the level of support that you have to provide in the infrastructure. I thought that was insightful. We're going to go for our break, folks. And when we come back, we're going to be delving into WEDEVS a bit more, and some of their new plugins. Be back in a few moments, folks. We're coming back. Well, Atman's been he's given some great insights into WEDEVS, and a new plugin that's come on, and I think it's really interesting, WeMail. So I kind of see that as your entry as maybe a competitor to MailPoet that recently got bought out by the WooCommerce, and so would you see it as your kind of competitor to MailPoet in a way?
Well, WeMail has been a very learning experience for the team since launch, because as we were discussing about Happy Addons, the pricing point, we had to come up with some sort of similar strategies for WeMail as well. It turns out that our biggest competitors aren't there. Like, we don't find MailChimp, MailPoet, Mailgun, we don't find them as competitors, simply because the key here is that the more number of emails that you need to send per campaign, or the number of email subscriber of your customer base, the more you have, the cheaper you'd get from WeMail. And that's something we all feel like is the winning strategy for our customers. Again, if you go through the pricing, at first instance, it might seem like a bit confusing, but I assure you, the moment you go through the filter options that we have, if you go through the filter, it would pinpoint you the difference of the amount of investment you have to do as a business to using MailChimp, to using other providers. And as I was referring to the ERP plugin that we have, WP ERP, the WeMail plugin is integrated with the WP ERP. So the WP ERP has a CRM module, which also comes for free. The HR module, CRM module, and the accounting module. These are the 3 core modules you get for free. So imagine you have a small office, 10 to 15 employees. You have the ERP plugin installed, which is taking care of their leave and all of those stuff. But importantly, you have a customer base and you want to send emails. if as we have email integrated, you don't have to literally invest any money into it. With the free version, you can send emails to people without spending any money, which you won't be able to do with the other names that we've mentioned today. So that's where I think WEDEVS success relies on many of the plugins. Supposedly, as we have Happy Addons, we have Wemail itself. And I mean, again, if you go through the fine line, the picture comes more clear for you. And I would also have to give shout out to Mr. Ashik. He is the product marketing manager who's dealing with all of these magical figures, what price point to be focusing on, what are the features to be adding. So each of the products that we're discussing today, we have a product champion, and that's the title within the office. So there's someone who is a product champion for each plugin, and there are different stories that I can say. And I'm proud to be representing my colleagues today at your renowned podcast.
Renowned, notorious, maybe. Sorry. Over to
we
you,
love
Steve.
it at our office. We love this, and we were discussing. You're welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Over to you, Stephen.
Of all your plugins, which one would you say is the most popular? Like, what one is used the most across the most sites?
It's Dokan.
Okay.
Simply because again, that's not because of the number of active installs or the number of downloads it's seen in the WordPress.org site. It's because of the sheer volume of it. The number of websites, the number of marketplaces, because one marketplace can encounter a lot of traffic. So, and that's just one site. But as Jonathan mentioned, Happy Addons is keeping up. Dokan has been on the on the pipeline for us for almost 4 years now. It's experienced a lot of work, whereas Happy Addons, the focus has only been there for a year. So the more time we invest on Happy Addons, I believe that product, that plugin has the potential to surpass what Dokan has achieved over the years. But personally, I want to see WP-ERP shine, because that's something I feel like a lot of people aren't aware about, that there is an actual full-fledged ERP solution available within the WordPress ecosystem that you can use for absolutely no cost whatsoever.
Wow, what are the benefits to having your ERP system inside of WordPress? Like, why would I want to bring that into my WordPress site?
Very good question, Stephen. So imagine you have a site which is running off WordPress, so you can download the plugins that are available for free in the WordPress.org, and you come across WP-ERP. So the moment you activate this onto your site, you have 3 plugins: HR, CRM, and accounting. As a small business, I won't go into like betting worse, but it's difficult to find plugins that would give you features for managing your HR requirements, managing your accounting records, CRM, for example, and dealing them in a proper way, communicating with them with Wemail. So, I mean, with ERP installed on your site, it essentially opens up the door for you for running your business as a small, medium enterprise, as a startup, as someone who's, or a business which is struggling. I hope you are not, I hope everyone's doing well, but let's just imagine someone struggling with their business. And these are the options you have. These are the tools you have to give you that push, that boost you need to just come to your feet. So the most benefits you can get is take advantage of the free features that are there. And why wouldn't you try it out?
Yeah, that's cool. Do any of your different plugins work together, or are they pretty much all kind of their own siloed? Like, you treat them as like very independent, or do you try to like cross, like integrate different plugins together?
Right. I mean, we do get that question a lot, because with that number of employees in the organization, it might not be as crystal clear for everyone to understand. Okay, you have 17 plugins. How are you managing that with that many people in the organization? So the answer is that we have certain focuses on plugins. Like I said, at the moment, major focuses are on Dokan, Happy Addons, WP ERP, WeMail, WP Project Manager. We also have WP User Frontend. So 6 or 7 plugins which has individual team, individual development team, individual marketing team, individual coordinator in between. There's a separate quality assurance team who makes sure the quality is delivered. And also we have a project manager, an actual dedicated person who makes sure that everything's running as per schedule. So these 6 plugins, even though it might sound that we're giving someone a bit more focus, the other 11 plugins, they are on demand basis. So we have teams of junior programmers, we have team of mid-level engineers, and we have team with professionals who are like been in the industry for 10 plus years. So that's actually the key to success. And it's easy for the team to juggle members in between. Like a few months back, I was working in a big project for Dokan. Suddenly my focus has been shifted to a different product. It gets very, it's pretty easy because a lot of the plugins are integrated with one another. And like they work seamlessly. If I am trying to build prospects for Dokan today, and the next day I go to email, it can easily work for me. I mean, they're all in the WordPress ecosystem. So the silo that there is a bit of silo, but still that based on like we have certain campaigns coming up and the focus is shifted. And then in the roadmap for a plugin for the product that we're trying to achieve in a 6 months period or a yearly period, that is also there, which is given focus when absolutely it's needed or when we are done with our priorities. So, I mean, we're still learning as an organization. I won't deny that. The founders of the company I mean, they went to Singapore right before COVID started. We had our first offshore, or I should say outside of the country office. It was a very exciting time, month of January 2021. And in just less than 2 months' time, we faced the global pandemic and everything came at a halt. Just a few months back, the founders came back to the country, and they are also hands-on involved. I mean, we have our CEO, Mr. Nizamuddin, and a CTO, Mr. Tarek Hassan. Mr. Tarek is a very popular figure. He's been in the industry for 17, 18 years, and he's actually the main pillar when it comes to the technical aspect of it, of all of this amazing plugin, and he's involved on a daily basis. So I think just to sum up what I'm saying, they are making sure on a monthly, weekly basis that things are in this according to schedule. They're meeting their deadlines, they're reaching their potential expectations and all of those stuff. And the other members of the team, they're just doing their part. Like right now, it's 11:30 my time at night. I will be crossing over to Friday. I'm not yet Friday on my time zone, but I'm still here. I'm doing my part as the business development manager. So that's how we're making sure that we're doing our part.
I'm very impressed with your dedication. That's what I expect from my employees. No, I don't actually. Well, we're coming to the end of the podcast. Hopefully you can stay on because for some bonus content, Ahmed, because I'd like to ask you about about the startup community in Pakistan and the city where you're based, and delve into that because I think that would be fascinating for the listeners and viewers. So, Ahmed, how can people find out more about you and WebDevs, WeDevs as well? What's the best way they can find more information?
So we have our website. It's wedevs.com, WEDEVS.com. You can just simply type in WeDevs and it will you will find all the social channels in the Google search result as well. We have our Twitter page, Facebook page. We have our YouTube channel. We also have dedicated YouTube channels for every single plugin with tutorials and know-hows being published. As I mentioned, that I'm also part of the WordPress.org ecosystem. You can find me in the design channel for WordPress Slack, if you are both part of it, or anyone who's there. Also, we are doing a podcast. It's called WEDEVS Show. I host it alongside my co-host. We have webinars running monthly. We have the Dokan webinar. We have the WP ERP webinar. I'm also hosting that. We also have a new initiative called Month in WordPress, powered by WEDEVS. So what we discuss in that particular video is that what milestone has WordPress achieved, and at the same time, what milestone has WEDEVS achieved. It's a fun video that we try to post every month. We started it on the month of January. So yeah, you can definitely find me. Apart from that, you can write to us. The viewers, listeners can definitely write to us at marketing@wedevs.com. That's basically for any marketing inquiries. If anyone has any questions, and if anyone wants to contact me directly, it's Ahmed, AHMED, @wedevs.com. That's my email address. Yeah.
Oh, that's,
I pretty much tried to cover.
I think you're doing quite a bit. You can see over to Stephen. But before I let Stephen, I just want to say that Zipfish has really helped the WP-Tonic website become a speed machine. You can go over there and look at the speed, and you'll be impressed. So over to you, Stephen. How can people find out more about you and Zipfish?
Yeah, head over to zipfish.io, run a speed test to see how much faster you can make your WordPress site.
That's great. Before we close, I just want to remind you, listeners, viewers, I've got a free webinar with Uncle Spencer from the WP-Tonic Roundtable show, and that's on the 12th of March, Friday the 12th. And it's going to be at 10:30 Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to be discussing all things ClickFunnels, checkouts, how to use WooCommerce with Uncle Spencer's project Launch Flows, and how you can build modern funnels and checkouts that are basically a lot better than ClickFunnels. If that sounds interesting, and it should, go over to the WP-Tonic website. There's a button right in the main navigation. You click it, it says webinar, and you can sign up for the free webinar. There you'll be able to ask Spencer and myself any questions that you've got about using the power of WordPress, Launch Flows, WooCommerce to build modern funnels in 2021. We're going to wrap up the podcast part of the show. You can watch the rest of the bonus content on the WP-Tonic YouTube channel, where I'm going to be discussing the WordPress startup community in Pakistan. It should be a fantastic discussion. We'll see you next week, folks. Bye. Well, so can you describe to the listeners the city where you're based, how many people live there? And I get the impression over the last couple of years that there's some real in the WordPress startup community. There's some real action where you're based. You got any insights why that's happened?
Sure. I'm located in the capital of Bangladesh, called Dhaka. And it's a overpopulated city. We used to be part of Pakistan before the separation happened in 1971. So yeah, I mean, they're our neighboring country these days. We used to be East Pakistan, but that's in the history. So Dhaka has experienced a lot of startup booming in the last 5 to 10 years specifically. And since the global pandemic happened, there have been more and more startups, basically student-led startups. I'm also involved with one of the biggest, the biggest student-led startup event globally, known as the HALT Prize, for about 3 years now. I appeared there as a judge, as a mentor. So I interact with students from universities in Bangladesh, Thailand, Australia, Nigeria, all of those countries, and we talk a lot about startup. But to talk about the startups in Dhaka, there have been 5 to 10 startups that I can think about who has been very successful. WEDEVS do come in the same list. There are a few other, but in the WordPress ecosystem, I will take names of WEDEVS. There is also Joom Shaper, one of the other leading names in the startups in the WordPress ecosystem. And also there is WP Developer. These three that do come to my mind when it comes to the number of volume, the number of employees, and the success they have experienced in the past few years.
Yeah, especially WP Developer, they have been on the podcast. You know, they also seem to make a lot of really quality plugins. So over to you, Stephen.
Yeah, so just so I know, and all the viewers and users know, Bangladesh is right to the east of India. You have India and then Bangladesh.
Right.
Yeah, and Pakistan is like to the west of India. Correct?
Yep.
My geography. Correct. All right. Cool.
No. Spot on.
So that's cool. It sounds like there's a really big WordPress ecosystem inside of Bangladesh and Dhaka. Do you guys work together ever? Like, do you like have big WordPress parties and all meet up, or is it pretty like, no, we work on our stuff and they work on their stuff, and it's like a rivalry?
Yeah, it was interesting at the start. Even though I wasn't professionally part of the community before 2019, but I used to know about what happened in the early days. But what I mean by that is early 2014, 2013. But the community has gone past that. They are now aware of the potential that they can reach collectively. So the companies that I've mentioned, they all work together. We have a big meetup called Dhaka WordPress Meetup. The Elementor group in Dhaka is even bigger than the WordPress Meetup. And the WP developer, I think their CEO, his name is Asif. He is also a lead organizer of the Dhaka Elementor Meetup. So, one of our colleague, Gobinda, he's also part of the organizing team. So see, if they're all working based on Elementor, but they represent different companies, which are rival companies in one way or another. But when it comes to the community, they work together. So, Stephen, these days, it's pretty good to say, and they're all trying to explore more avenues, more areas to cover, get revenue, more customers, or business-wise decisions, to be precise.
That's really cool. Do you feel like most of your user base comes from like your surrounding geographic area, or do you have any hot spots of like where a lot of users come from?
Yeah, so I remember in 2019, we were doing this survey and we were trying to figure out where geographically our customers are located. And we were fascinated by see the data, to say the least. Most of our customers or the consumer base for WEDEVS comes nearby the US region. So United States has got the biggest number of clients that we have, users that we have, traffic-wise. Then we have Canada. After that, the plugin-wise, the scenario changes. But in general, we have US, Canada, and then Brazil. A lot of people, a lot of traffic we get from Brazil, South America, and then we have also Hong Kong. We have India. So when it comes to the nearby countries, neighboring countries, we only get more traffic from India. And there's very few customers from the country that we are operating from, Bangladesh. There's not many customers that we have from Bangladesh. I don't think that's an issue for us. I mean, that works out for them as well, but that works out for us as well. We think that we can reach our potential if we keep providing good services. But sometimes when we attend the WordPress meetups, we do get requests from the community. Why are we not focusing at our national level as an organization? And that's actually a call that our leadership team needs to make, the CEO, CTO. It's their headache, not mine. But still, I try to answer it by simply saying, like, look, WordPress is unique in a way that you can download the plugin for absolutely no cost. So keep trying, keep using the features that are there in the free version, as long as it's there. And anyone can contribute to WordPress core. So the same way you can contribute to my plugin as well, it's open source. I mean, I got my first core contributor badge, I think in October last year. So I was giving them an example that it's absolutely there for you to take. So anyone can contribute, anyone can come, but the most amount of traffic that we're getting are not anywhere near the neighboring region where we're located right now.
Very interesting. That's cool. Back to you, Jonathan.
So what about the digital nomad community? Are there a lot of people setting up from Australia, from Europe in Bangladesh? Is it active and growing? Well, obviously the pandemic has affected that to some extent, but it's probably declined, or they might be stuck in Bangladesh. They might have decided to stay. But is that been a growing factor, the digital nomad community?
Well, before the pandemic, it was. But as the pandemic is restraining people, it's actually restricting people's choices and the way people can invest money offshore or in other businesses. Those decisions are being taken very seriously these days. I actually did my higher studies in Australia. I was there for about 7 years. And I noticed the growing number of Digicon community, the nomad that we're referring today, coming from the Southeast Asia, and they are actually attracting the Australia, Canada, New Zealand, all of these areas. They were potential hotspots. There were people who are looking for investment and having their offshore offices set up in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, in India. So these days with the WordPress ecosystem, it's actually declining. But in Bangladesh itself, we have small companies who are emerging, who are operating in a very small scale, and then being acquired by these big companies in Bangladesh. So as a startup, the trend has been very interesting. People just want to get noticed. You have a 5 people company, or maybe less than 10. Your essential goal with the startup should be just to get noticed. And you may have 1 or 2 good plugin which has potential, but it may not have reached that because of not having enough investment. So that's where the big companies come in, acquire them, and they empower them. But the good thing is that they don't just change everything right away. I know of other plugins which have been acquired by big companies. Again, the word big needs to be defined. It's based on the region that we're located in. So let's not get anyone confused. So they try to acquire it, and they try to empower it, and then collectively they make it something better. So yeah, students are more into the WordPress ecosystem. We have a lot of application for internship since the pandemic started in Bangladesh. I mean, as you can only imagine, pretty much everything's at a halt. Students are yet to graduate. They're waiting because there is a particular traditional method of exam, and then you have to go through the results, certification, all of those, which is all at halt in Bangladesh. So students are looking for options to get involved before they can actually get to they have their certification so that they can apply for jobs. So that the community, Digicon community in Bangladesh is growing more than what people may have anticipated.
Oh, that's great. I think we wrap up the bonus content now, listeners and viewers. I think it's been a great interview. Atman, you've done a fantastic job. And thank you for coming on the show. You have to come back sometime this year and we have some more discussion about WEDEVS. We're going to close it up now, folks. We'll be back next week with another fantastic guest. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.